Hey guys, welcome to my top 10 favorite rock slash metal albums of 2010. Something that been wanting to do for a while, and it's now January 3rd, so didn't want to wait long. Um, but it was kind of difficult with the top 10 list. I wanted to do 15, but I'm not sure if it will be a too long video. But in the ending of this, I'm gonna, you know, add a bunch of other albums that I highly recommend, that I recommend, and maybe some that I don't recommend. I'm not sure. We'll see. But I won't mention them. I'm just going to make a list or something. Before I start with the list, I wanted to mention something that is completely off topic, but well, yesterday I found out that one of Sweden's most famous actors, Per Oscarsson, um, well, one of the best actors in Sweden that I know of, one of the most famous and appreciated and so on. He passed away in a house fire. He basically burned up, which I just couldn't believe it when I heard that. That's just so tragic and awful. And yeah, he was 83, so I mean, it's no surprise that an 83-year-old dies. But I mean, by fire, that's awful. And I think, well, they, as of now, I don't think that they have officially confirmed that they have found both bodies. It's just remains, I mean, ashes almost. So yeah, I just want to mention that. So that's terrible. Anyway, on with the list. That was very off topic, but I needed to mention it in my next video, whatever it was. So I'm just gonna start. See if there was something else I was gonna mention. Yeah, well, there might be after it's 2011 now, but I'm probably still gonna check out through the year and whatever a bunch of albums from 2010 that I missed or that I just never get around to listen to. So the list might change. I don't think so, but it might. But you know, that's always the issue or whatever. So whatever, never mind. Uh, well, I'll just start with number 10. I picked Beyond Hell, Above Heaven with Volbeat. Um, I had a chance to see Volbeat live once, 2009 festival here in Sweden, but I never did because I didn't think I would like them. And then afterwards, I checked them out, and I absolutely loved it, and blamed myself a lot for not seeing them. And then I recently found out that they are coming to that festival again this year, 2011. So I'm finally gonna see them, so I can stop blaming myself now for not seeing them last time. Well, it's if you haven't heard of them, which I think most people have, it's like heavy metal with 50s rock or 60s rock. I'm not sure, but rockabilly sound, very odd in a way, but it's amazing stuff. And yeah, I don't know what else to say, but Volbeat, Beyond Hell, Above Heaven. At place number 9, I went with Agalloch, Marrow of the Spirit, which is an extremely difficult band to categorize. This album is primary atmospheric black metal, I would say, but it has a shitload of other influences. Well, I'm not sure, but maybe their other albums is a bit more hard to define, but this is still a very hard album to classify. But they are an amazing band. It's just ridiculous what music come out of their instruments. You know, it's insanely good. This album has, I think, about maybe one song. I think it's only about 6 songs on the album, and one song is not that great. It's just good, not really more than that. So since it's such few songs, I had to put it pretty low on the list, even though some other sections or parts of a lot of the songs are freaking amazing, like the song Black Lake Need Stone. that has some ridiculously good moments. And yeah, well, so that's Agalloch at place number 9. Place number 8, another black metal band. If you can call Agalloch a black metal band, I guess you can, but not your average black metal band. But anyway, place number 8, I went with Karak Angren. Death Came Through a Phantom Ship is the name of the album, which is I'm pretty sure it's a concept album, and it's symphonic black metal. I have never heard them before. They've released, I think, only one other album, and I haven't heard that, but I'm going to. 2010 album. It's amazing. It's just takes the symphonic black metal to a new level. Really does. It's fantastic stuff. Next at number 7 is the first album on the list here that is not metal. They used to be, but it's Anathema with We're Here Because We're Here. Hard to pronounce for me, but this album is pretty much alternative and atmospheric rock. I'm not sure if atmospheric rock is an official genre, but it should be. But this band started out as a death or death doom metal band, and they haven't really been, well, I'm not sure, but I don't think they've been metal for quite a while. But this album is definitely not metal, but it's just a beautiful album, and every song just keeps on evolving or racing or just takes it to the next level, and every song basically starts out here and ends here, not just like this, which many songs has. So that's amazing, and I guess the strongest part of the album is the first maybe 4 songs, especially like the first 2 songs, or maybe 3, but just the whole album. It's amazing, a fantastic and atmospheric journey. So yeah, definitely check that one out. Place number 6, I went with, I'm not sure if I can pronounce this, but Negura Bungit with their album Vich del Pamintului. I don't know. It's Romanian. I'm not sure if that's Romanian, but the band is Romanian, so it would make sense. But this is, yeah, I guess atmospheric black metal with a lot of folk influences. The album, for example, is 4 minutes of the album is completely folk, and I think it's amazing. And the way in the first song that he starts growling before the metal has started, and then the metal starts with an amazing riff, and it's just overwhelming, almost. It's yeah, I think it's a pretty underrated album because I don't see many people praise it that highly, and I don't see why, because it's far better than Ohm, in my opinion, which is a difficult album to get into, I think, but I'm gonna have to give it a few other shots. But yeah, I think I got into the band with this album. It's just amazing, very original, and yeah, that's Negura Bungit. And at place number 5, I went with Ghost Opus Eponymous, which is like a new sensation in Sweden. They are from Sweden, and basically, I guess the music is fantastic also, obviously, since yeah. But I think the main reason to why they have become so well known in a very short amount of time is because nobody knows who they are. Well, probably some people know who they are. I read that some writers and friends or whatever knows who they are. You know, writers for rock and metal magazines, but they don't want to reveal who they are. And the singer, he sort of wears a Pope outfit, this huge hat, you know, and skeleton makeup or paint. I don't think it's corpse paint really, but yeah. And the other, I think I'm gonna see them live also this year at the same festival, which I was talking about before. But I think the other, they might be wearing this monk capes or hoodies, not hoodies really, but you know, Um, but basically, it's very mellow for being a very satanic band, you could say. People have been comparing to Coven and The Devil's Blood, and also some band that I haven't heard of. Well, I've heard of them, I just haven't listened to them. But Merciful Fate, and I know I should listen to them, but I just haven't gotten around to it. But anyway, they play hard rock or heavy metal, maybe some psychedelic sound to it, traditional doom metal perhaps. It's kind of difficult to categorize, even though it's such easy music, very easy to listen to, and not very brutal at all. Um, but it's fantastic. The songs, it's a kind of short album. I think it's about 32 minutes maybe, and the songs such as like Ritual, Elizabeth, Genesis, and Prime Mover. It's just amazing stuff, and it's gonna be so awesome to see them live. So I highly suggest you to check that out if you haven't already, and if you haven't heard of them, then I think you've missed out. Um, but anyway, go on to number 4 here. This band released an album last year also, I mean 2009, and I think I put them at number 1 on my list. This album is probably their worst, except for their first, the debut album, It's Only Rock and Roll. None of them is bad whatsoever. Obviously, it's on number 4 of my list. It's Hardcore Superstar though, with Split Your Lip. My favorite band. Don't know if I need to say that again. People, I mean, there might be new viewers, but yeah, been my favorite band for almost 11 years now. And I think this album it was a bit disappointing at first, but that's just because every album except for the first one, as I said, has a rating 5 from 5 out of me, and I think maybe 25 albums has that overall, so that's pretty amazing. I think that's 6 albums. But this album, 9 out of 10. It's amazing. What can I say? It's my favorite band. Didn't really disappoint me. It was just not quite as good as the other albums. But it's hard rock / sleaze metal, I tend to describe it as. Yeah, I guess highlights on the album is Honeymoon, Moonshine. Those two are probably the highlights, but then amazing songs such as Guest List, What Did I Do, Won't Go to Heaven, Run to Your Mama. Some amazing songs on here. All of the songs are on, well, maybe not Sadistic Girls, that's a pretty weak song, I have to admit, but other than that, it's a phenomenal album. And at number 3, I mean, it says rock / metal, so yeah, but it's The National with High Violet, and I think you can say that they rock. I mean, it's a very mellow band, the most mellow or softest band on this list. I'm pretty damn sure about that. And I didn't expect to like this as much as I did. It's, well, it's indie rock, maybe a bit alternative. People say it's post-punk. I don't know, maybe. But it's just very good. It grows on you like crazy. Not for everyone, not for, unless you're a very open-minded metalhead, then you don't have to bother really. But it's my list, and I'm not gonna lie. It's a phenomenal album. Yeah, it's amazing. My favorite song would probably have to be Anyone's Ghost, or Anybody's Ghost, whatever. Haven't listened to the album in a while, but it's amazing. And at number 2, I went with Reckless Love with their self-titled debut album. I don't really think it's metal. It's rather glam rock, maybe a bit glam metal, but mainly glam rock in my opinion anyway. And I think when it comes to glam metal, or glam rock, I'm a pretty huge fan of the genre. But it's usually bands don't really. I haven't listened to it a whole lot, I have to say, but it's hard to make it original. It has a very sort of simple structure to it, I guess. But this band manages to make it original. Some stuff feels like they've been taken from the 80s. Not that I prefer 80s glam rock over modern, but well, it just has a certain feeling to it that is hard to explain. And I don't know what else to say about it. I think the singer from the second Crash Diet album sings on this album. I'm not quite sure, but I think so. So I guess if you like Crash Diet, you'll probably like this band. But I think Crash Diet is probably a bit harder and heavier. So yeah, that's number 2 on my list. And finally at number 1, the only 10 out of 10 album on this list. Probably many people won't see the brilliance in this because it's kind of hard to appreciate. I guess so. But it's Orphaned Land with their album The Never-Ending Way of War Warrior. They're from Israel and they play progressive metal with some progressive death metal, but mainly progressive metal, but with a lot of folk or oriental influences. I think they call themselves oriental metal, and that makes sense. There's a lot of sort of Middle Eastern folk influences, which might be something that people have problems with when it comes to the band. But it's quality music, definitely. It's not just. It's good music, and they are very talented. They don't release albums often. I think they've been active since then, I think, but they haven't released anything since 2004, I think. But it's one of the best albums I've heard, pretty much. Since I said only 25 albums have I rated 10 out of 10, and this is one of them. What else? Well, not much. It's just phenomenal. Yeah, I don't know what else to say, but that's number 1 on my list. So if you want to, you could. You don't have to make a video response, but you can just mention some of your favorites of the year, and maybe I'll reply and say if I've heard them or not. If I haven't, I might check them out. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. It's not over, but I'm gonna list, as I mentioned in the beginning, gonna list some other albums now. And yeah, that's it. So thank you for watching.